Hello, so now I'm going to explain what's the Dark Age. I'll try to be short so everybody understands the main concept, okay? I get this question often because I blame a lot of the problems we have nowadays on the Dark Age. And I say, well, it's a Dark Age, just a Dark Age, a Dark Age. And then I have questions like, oh, so if it's a Dark Age now, so what it was in the Second World War, okay? I said it's a dark age. I didn't say it's a dark year or a dark month. It's an age. So when you say age, you're talking about 100 years, 200 years. It's a long period of time. That's an age. That's what an age means. Okay. This current dark age we live basically started in the late 1800s. The number one episode that happened was when the Rothschilds, they purchased the Central Bank of England and later on the Central Bank of the United States. And slowly we entered into this world we live nowadays of all this banking system running our lives and deciding everything for ourselves. I answering another question that came to me was, so you're blaming the Rothschilds for the Dark Age? No, I'm not blaming them. I am saying that was a very important, the most important episode in history in the last 200 years, and I don't think they had the intentions to start a new Dark Age. That just happened. Most of the things in history, especially when you're talking about ages, which is something that takes several generations to happen, they just happen. And so what I believe what happens once the Rothschilds, they purchase all the central banks, and they start to run, and then the economies, they become to be a private owned entrepreneurship. They broke the equilibrium, the society equilibrium, since then everything is money, it's profit, it's all about profit and profit and profit, so you don't have more those big values of governments when they were just free. Usually governments before the central banks being privatized, they would be concerned about big values of human history like freedom, civil rights, freedom of press, labor rights. So this would be big topics since the banking system drained all this attention into profit. It's all about profit. So now every time a politician or somebody says, oh, I'm going to talk about freedom, he's going to study, but is there money there if I talk about freedom? That's how the Dark Age happened. So we are in a new Dark Age. There are a lot of examples, okay, like you see, like in this past 100 years, look all the problems, like how many people were killed. About 100 million people were killed in wars, for example. Look how many species that were extinct, like hundreds of thousands of animals. They will never come back. They're just gone. What else? Another big example about the Dark Age we live is like, where are the big monuments, for example? Usually Dark Ages, they don't have much track. So like usually nobody really knows much what happens during a Dark Age because there's not register of everything. Everything is more on a mouth to mouth, as you see digital media now. Okay, they just delete your profile on Facebook. It's all gone. 12 years of history that happened to me, and then you lie. Where's that information? It's just deleted. Okay, it was exactly the same in the previous Dark Age. Was from the 1300s to the 1500s in Europe. There's not many documents. They would just burn the books. And before was during the Roman Empire collapse, was another dark age from the 700s to the 1000, so it's like 300 years, 400 years. So, and then you have periods of Illuminism or Enlightenment, which is like the good ones, they get their compensation. If you work hard work, you get your results, okay? It's usually more that happens in moments of Enlightenment. And we have an example, which is from the 1500s to the 1800s. For example, the monuments, okay? If you think about what's the big monuments in the history, they're still there, okay? Like the Eiffel Tower, in Paris, the Liberty Tower there in New York City, the Colosseum. All those inventions, they are from before. They are from the 1800s and not from this century. There's nothing really substantial with a lot of values from this century, since this dark age. That does not exist, okay? So we do not have that, okay? Why? Because there's no values about buying, sell. It's very empty. It's very mechanical. It's just base. Another thing is inventions, for example. Most of the inventions we use today, they were created before, believe it or not. Like, but the internet, the telephones, they were created in the 1800s. They were not created in this century. They are not invented in there. They were made. There's perfections of those industries, but nothing new. Okay, telephone from the 1800s, the airplanes from the 1800s too. Why so many inventions in the 1800s? Because people were getting compensations. They would trust, they would invest their time, they would create an invention. Imagine all the efforts to make an invention. The study, the hard work, the trials, the expenses, the cost, who's going to sponsor all of that? And the safety to receive the compensations of all the hard work, okay? That does not happen now. It's a dark age, okay? That does not happen. As you're starting to do something, you already robbed it. They just copy all your stuff. They put save as and you're gone, okay? And you would never be paid. So most of the people are not inventing anything. So usually, most of the inventions nowadays are just to reduce costs of inventions that they already existed. It's a better plane that uses less gas, less petrol, okay? It's a phone that's cheaper, do you understand? So that's more about what's a dark age. Another thing, is a dark age for everybody? No. What is the difference between a dark age and an enlightenment age, okay? It's the big picture, okay? Society works in the big picture and the small picture. The small picture be your family. Your family is also society, but it's small. It's under your umbrella. Maybe your families can be your home entire village. It can be a village with 5,000 people, okay? So maybe in that environment, it's all good, okay? So maybe under your control, it's still good. But the big picture is very bad. It's a lot of crime, a lot of corruption. And you see that, and that's why the dark ages that last so long, because the big picture is so rotten, is so bad, is so corrupt. Usually corruption attracts corruption, and it's corruption and more drugs and more. Then you have endemic corruption, systematic corruption. So you have all this, and then it just gets worse, because if you're not doing corruption, you won't have a chance. You will stay in your house and you are not going to work. So that's what happened. Let's just look around you. That's the world as it is nowadays. We do not know for how long this is going to last. We don't know. Maybe it's very unpredictable about how a dark age is going to fade away. I don't know really. I need to really study in depth about what happened in the 1500s. Was the first dark age. This dark age was gone, and usually the resources they end, and maybe the generations. There's some problems with the families that they run the world, and they split, and then maybe there's a revolution, and then a new revolution. Or maybe just a big Third World War, for example. That's another example of the dark age we live. I have never seen people talk about Third War with such a naturality. Oh, it's a Third World War. It's okay. It's gonna come. Like people even expecting it to come, because it's kind of expecting the Third World War to start, so we can be released from the hell that we live nowadays. So maybe it's a hope that maybe the dark age is going to end after this dark age, this Third World War happens, okay? So with that, but usually the bad news is that usually it's an age, okay? It may last maybe 100 years more. I don't know, but it is. It seems to me now we are on this cruise speed of this dark age, which means a lot of the confusions, like the First World War, the Second World War. There were first conflicts and resistance maybe from people to accept the dark age and all the corruption that was coming at something like that. but now it's already established, and we're on this cruise speed. Okay, it's something when you're traveling, we're on this cruise speed when the plane is quiet and you just enjoying your flight. Okay, in this case is the flight of a dark age in history. But then, you know, when we're going to finish this ride, you know, there's going to be some turbulence, and we're going to arrive somewhere, and that's when it ends. So I don't see any sign of that still, but who knows? Maybe that can happen soon. But if you do not understand, write your comments there, and I will answer your comments. Okay? So I think you get it now. Okay? What is a dark age, and why we're living one for about 130 years, I would say. Okay? It's been 100 years already of a dark age. Okay? And you see that on the degradation of values and everything, all over the world, everywhere. Okay? Okay. So thank you for watching. All right. Cheers. Augustin here. Okay. Thank you. Cheers.